So I do encourage you to participate, but most of the questions will be answered in the chat box during the session. So thank you, Katerina. Anna, great. I can see that you can hear me. This is fantastic. All right, so I can see that people keep joining, so there will be more of us. So just to get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Diana Vasilenko. I'm one of the CELTA trainers at International Language Centers. So well, I've been teaching for, well, post-CELTA for more than 12 years now. And well, if we count my teaching years before CELTA, that would be +5. So also I'm a teacher trainer now. I work, as I mentioned, as a CELTA trainer, CELTAS, and Delta Modules 1 and 2 trainer. Also, I'm the Cambridge Exams Manager for International Language Center, UAE 800 and UAE 801. So today I'd like to speak to you about exams. And well, I think we can get started now. All right, so again, could you please find the chat box as I'll be asking you questions. And at the end of the session today, there will be some time for you to ask questions about exams or about how to administer exams or how to become a Cambridge Assessment English Preparation Center with IELTS. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box. You could write them at the chat box as we're going, but I will take time to answer them closer to the end of the session. Also, at the end of the session, you will see some useful links. And there will be a link to the certificate of attendance for this webinar. Right. So today I'm going to talk about Cambridge exams and what they actually are. And I think that we often think of exams as some sort of a test, which sometimes is not kind of related to what people do on a regular basis, what students do. Normally, well, not normally, quite often, we see exams as sort of test of grammar or vocabulary. But with Cambridge exams, it's quite different. And this is what I'd like to talk about today. Just to get started, I'd like to get to know who you are because I can recognize some of the names here, but still not everyone. So could you please find the chat box if you haven't done that already, and write the following information about you. So here's how you find the chat box. Well, this is your first time using Zoom, which I think is unlikely now. And please write your answers. So here are my answers. I'm based in Kyiv right now, work for International Language Center or ILC, which is a private school, language school and a teacher training and exam center. I've worked with people starting from 16, probably even 12, actually, years of age. And well, here I think you can see 12 years. Well, it's been more than 12 years now in teaching. Right, so looking forward to reading your answers. Please write them in the chat box. All right, thank you, Anna. Okay, Rehoboth Pedagogical University. Wow, that's nice. Yes, Yulia from Chernihiv. Okay, good. Right. I do want to see more answers here now. All right, nice there. Okay. So Nastya is joining us from Lviv today. Right. So it's interesting that, well, we have people working, teachers here who are working for, can assume those are state schools, colleges and universities, which is very good. Right. I do hope to see more answers in the chat box now because I'd like to know who you are. I'd like to meet you. Okay, private tutor. Okay, so quite a range. All right. Good. Great. Well, thank you very much for your answers. Please keep writing in the chat box. And here's some of the exams that we know. And the question is, have you ever taken an international language examination? So, well, obviously the answer is yes or no. And I'm talking about international exams like IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge English, possibly there's like PLIDA, which is an Italian exam, DELF, which is a French exam, well, exam in French, right? So please write yes or no. If you'd like to write the exam, you can also write it there, but you don't have to. A simple yes or no would be enough. Right. Okay, well, there are a lot of no's. TOEFL, all right. This is interesting. Okay, well, the question is, would you like to take the exam? All right, so in my life as a student here, well, years ago, the two exams that I took as a, well, because I had to at different stages. Well, the first one was because I had to, and that was TOEFL. This is an exam which was back in 2005 or 7 necessary for people to go to study in the United States as an international student. And back in 2010, I think, I took CPE, that was the old version. And the second one was purely my initiative. So I wanted to have this certificate. Some of you probably have heard of that exam. Some people say that it has some kind of snob value because it's just that you are as good as a native speaker. Well, for whatever reason, I still believe that that is a good exam. And for language teachers, especially those teachers who are planning to work with higher levels, possibly become international speaking examiners in the future, that is a good exam to take. But even the advanced C1, would be good, the right choice as well. All right, so let's get started. It's interesting that there aren't many people who have taken exams, but actually nowadays they're becoming more and more popular. So a lot of people are actually interested in preparing students for exams, which is also quite possible. I've never taken IELTS, but at the same time, I've done quite a lot in terms of IELTS preparation. This is one of my kind of areas of interest right now as a teacher. All right, now let's think about this. How do you feel about exams if you have to take an exam? So I must say that probably, well, and please use the smileys and emotions that you can see here in the chat box, so you can see some reactions here. Well, my reaction to that would probably be this, if you look at the chat box. So it could be stressful, it could feel strange, but still I would be, well, every time I'm very excited about it. You know, okay, so Nastya is not that enthusiastic about exams. The reason I feel kind of positive about it, because, well, it's good to know where you stand sometimes, and especially we talk about international exams. Those are the exams that I'm going to talk to you about today are among the most reliable and state-of-the-art exams that we have right now. And actually, it could give us a pretty fair judgment and assessment of where we are in terms of our language ability. So that's why I think that well, I personally feel that it's good for me to know where I am and well, what else I can do in order to get better. So that's why it's exciting, but at the same time, it could be a bit stressful because, well, of course, waiting for the results. You know, even doing the exam on the day of the exam, I feel is less stressful than waiting for the certificate to arrive and waiting for your results to be published, right? So, but at the same time, I always feel that it's worth it. And it also creates the goal for me to work towards and to achieve, which could be quite motivating as well. Yes, I can say I'm the only person who feels that positive about exams. All right, now, as teachers, how do you think your students feel about exams? In general, we have a lot of teachers joining us today from state schools and from universities, colleges, and private tutors. How do you think their reaction is, their feelings are different or the same? Just same or different would be enough to write in the chat box. Nervous, for sure. As I'm waiting for some more answers, I'd like to say that, well, they could feel nervous for a number of reasons. Of course, there is some pressure on them from the parents, from the institution. If we talk about kids and younger adults, it's stressful because sometimes one of the factors contributing to that would be the fact that you don't know what exactly is going to happen. And there is the element of surprise there. And also there is the element of judgment. I call it judgment, not assessment, because that word is a bit more, I think, more biased in a way. But in fact, it is about assessment, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Stressed out, nervous, afraid. All right, so let's get started and talk about Cambridge exams, because I think that I really hope that, well, a lot of effort is being put right now by Cambridge University Press and Assessment into making the exams as user-friendly as possible, as engaging and as interesting as possible, and less scary, of course, for everyone, especially if we talk about testing children and young adults. So what are Cambridge exams? So, well, yeah. Here's some information for you, quite a lot. I can understand that. But the exams that I'm planning to talk about today are more on the left. So if you start from the left, from the bottom, here you have the younger learners exams. So those are exams designed for kids starting from the age of 7 till the age of like 10, 11, because after that they can progress to take higher level exams, but still there is a for schools version. So here you can see it's pre-A1, A1, and A2. Those are very, well, not very, those are younger learners exams. Then there is A2 key, normal version for schools, B1, B2, C1, and C2. So those are the exams I'm going to talk about. Cambridge also has some exams for people who are interested in business English. There is the lingua skill, and there is IELTS. But IELTS, I'm going to mention IELTS today, but this session is not going to focus on IELTS, just on some questions and some things that are, well, that we need to know in order to understand what is better for our students, whether they need to take Cambridge exam or study for that exam, or whether it's necessary for them to take IELTS. So here are the exams that we're going to focus on, and I'd also like I'd like to ask you to to notice the column on the left, this pre-A1, A1 to C2, because if we talk about exams in general, language exams actually, it's very important to know about the levels and the CFAR, Common European Framework of Reference, because this is what the exams are based on, and this is what the exams, this is where, well, using this framework, we'll be able to identify what their level is. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. No, actually, I'll talk about that a bit later. So now, so Cambridge exams and IELTS. Of course, I think it goes without saying right now that IELTS is the most popular product in terms of, well, and most popular test in the world right now. Even TOEFL is no longer that popular and could be even less recognized by some institutions. But IELTS is popular for immigration purposes and for work and study as well. So a lot of embassies, a lot of English-speaking countries will require the people who want to move to that country for no matter how long, and no matter for what reason, they will want them to take IELTS to understand that their level of English is, well, appropriate or is enough for that. But Cambridge exams are different. And first of all, the IELTS certificate is valid for 2 years. Cambridge certificates, well, IELTS results, sorry, because there isn't a certificate, are valid for 2 years, and Cambridge exams are basically valid for well, for lifetime. There are different levels of achievement, and actually, because IELTS there is one exam for all the levels. With Cambridge exams, there are different exams. So that means that after taking one step, you have to move on and take a higher level exam. So you can actually kind of slowly but surely make sure that you're getting better and better, because you have to achieve the next level. The grades are also different, and I will show you in a moment how. And there is no failed grade in either of the exams. This is actually good. But with yeah, so I will show you that right now. So here, this is the scale, which is used for Cambridge exams, and the Cambridge English scale and the IELTS scale. So if we talk about the assessment, with IELTS, you can get the bands from 1 to 9. So let's say if my 12-year-old sister decides to take it, which I don't think is a good idea, she'll probably get a 3 or a 4 for a number of reasons. If I decide to take it, well, I'm hoping for something higher than 7. If we talk about Cambridge exams, there are different grades. So there is the grade A, and if you look at Cambridge first, Cambridge English first, the green rectangulars. Here we can see that B2 is grades B and C. If you get grade A for that exam, that's going to be already a C1 certificate. And if you do not get this 100 on the left, you are still going to get a B1 level certificate, right? So that means that well, even if you don't get the level you wanted, there will still be a certificate to show that your English proficiency at this moment is at the B1 level. So IELTS intends to place people on the scale, basically on the band. So if I take it today, I'll get a 7. If I take it 2 years later, I can get an 8 or an 8.5. You know, and that shows that this is where I am at this particular moment. With Cambridge exams, it means that you get to achieve some level and it's yours to keep. And after that, you can move on and get to the next level. And here are the steps that I wanted to show you. So it's first Cambridge First, then Cambridge English Advanced, and Cambridge English Proficiency. Also, you get a certificate for Cambridge exams, not a statement of result, and that is, or your report, which is much nicer. Some people like to put them in frames to celebrate the achievement. There are 4 schools versions for A1, A2, and B. No, for A1, actually, there is the Wiley version, which is definitely for schools, A2, B1, and B2 exams, which makes it easier for teenagers and adults to show what they can do in English. Because if we talk about IELTS, all of the topics are for adults. And it's very difficult for them to get anything higher than a 7 in speaking and writing, because they are simply not prepared yet due to the lack of experience, life experience, to explore the topics and elaborate on the topics that they would be required to talk about or write about in IELTS, which is not a problem for Cambridge exams. Actually, the fact that people are young does not prevent them from getting their certificate and showing how good their English is. Recognition, as I mentioned, a lot of embassies will recognize IELTS, but again, more and more universities and some embassies recognize A2 certificates, B2 and C1 advanced, even for studying in another country and in a university somewhere in Europe. That is an option. Higher levels include the use of English section, and writing aims to assess the candidate's knowledge of genres as well. While in IELTS, there is also, like, it depends on whether you take the general or the academic module. You will either have to write a letter and an essay, or describe some visual information and an essay again. So the knowledge of the genre is not tested there. Well, and normally it takes longer to prepare for them, probably mostly because of the use of English section. So now, as I promised, here's some information about the CFR. This is Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. And actually, there are 6 levels. So basic user is A1, A2, independent, B1, B2, and proficient user C1, C2. Well, I think as teachers, we expect our learners to be somewhere normally no higher than B2. But for teachers, it is a good idea to kind of start from B2 and to go higher, especially if you're considering taking a CELTA or Delta course in the future. The level of English has to be at least C1. Some quick facts about the CFR. It was created by and developed by the Council of Europe. And this is the reason why this framework is applied to languages which are spoken to foreign languages which are spoken in Europe. As you've already seen, there are similar exams to Cambridge English to help assess the proficiency of a candidate in a particular language. So, and it's, to be honest with you, I don't think it's quite often used in the United States, because there they have different systems and frameworks. So don't be surprised if this is new information to someone who is working or studying in the United States. There are 6 levels, as I've already mentioned. Levels are defined through can-do descriptions or competencies and sub-competencies. So that means that it is skills-based, and I will show you how it is skills-based in a moment. And development dates back to either, I look to different sources, either 1975, when the first kind of threshold level of competence was identified, or to the 1991s when they started to put together the levels. It was officially launched in 2001, so actually it's not that old. I don't know, that was a surprising fact for me, because I really thought that it's been around for ages. Well, no, only for 20 years actually. And it is closely connected with the communicative approach. And one of the reasons for that is because the communicative approach emphasizes the importance of skills for communication. And the CFR is also based on the descriptors of skills. And we care about the skills if we talk about, and developing those skills if we talk about Cambridge exams. So here's an example of what the competences at this level are. This is taken from the official website of CFR and Council of Europe. So these are the descriptors for C2 and C1 levels. I'm going to give you a second just to look at them. Well, half a minute to look at them if you need to. Right, and so here's what a B1 candidate. I think that this is a good level for us to start with. B1 or intermediate. This is what a B1 candidate or student at that level should be able to do. So can understand the main points of clear standard input and familiar matters regularly encountered in work, school, or leisure. Clear standard inputs, I think that's that means that means the accent if we talk about listening, and that also means about some slang if we talk about reading and listening as well. So that would be, I don't know, well, defined as standard. Can deal with most situations likely to arise whilst traveling in an area where the language is spoken. So they can function. They can go to countries, tourists, and they can function there quite well. Can produce simple connected text on topics which are familiar or of personal interest. Here it doesn't say spoken or writing. That means that here we mean both. And can describe experiences and events, dreams, hopes, ambitions, and briefly give reasons and explanations for opinions and plans. Again, so here I'd like us to notice that here we're starting to talk about different language functions as well, which are necessary for us to for our students to learn in order to be able to function in a foreign language. So describe experiences and events, ambitions, possibly hopes for the future, right? Give reasons and explanations and express opinions, talk about their plans. So this is already, we're not talking about grammar or lexis only, we're talking about the functions that they will be using as they speak or write. So, and this is what makes exams more focused on the skills, which is different from a grammar or a lexis test. So, Cambridge exams normally consist of the following papers. Here are the C2, A2 to C2 exams. They consist of reading, use of English, listening, writing, and speaking. Reading and use of English can be combined in some of the exams. And for younger learners, it's reading and writing only, listening and speaking. So there is no use of English. If we talk about the use of English paper in Cambridge exams, so this is what makes it different from IELTS, because IELTS assesses only listening, reading, speaking, and writing, which is interesting because this is something that teachers often ask, especially those teachers who work for schools that prepare for international exams and our preparation centers that work with our centers. Understanding of why the use of English section is there and how it is different from IELTS really helps them to understand and choose better course books, understand whether the course and this exam actually satisfies the needs of the students. we talk about the use of English paper, it is a more thorough test of grammar and lexis. What I mean by that is that when a person speaks in a foreign language, they will be using the grammar and lexis they're most familiar with and most comfortable with. Not something, it will be something that they can produce easily, not necessarily what they know. So, and in the use of English, we can actually see a bit more. Not to mention the fact that there aren't that many situations, communicative situations, where we'd be able to really demonstrate our use of the past perfect continuous and past perfect. So it's difficult to create that situation. We cannot test it all in speaking exams, which could be like 8 to 20 minutes long, right? Or even in the writing. In writing, it is easier, but still they don't have to use that language. They don't feel they have to. So it's difficult to test grammar and lexis discretely through text or productive or receptive skills. Of course, they need to understand grammar and lexis when they listen and read as well. But they could also use they could use the context, their life experience to be able to find the correct answer. It makes it more suitable for more long-term course programs. So let's say if you have a group of students who are, let's say, in the 9th grade, it could be a good idea for them to be preparing for B1, and that could actually take the whole year. If we talk about B2, it's a very difficult exam, and it takes time to prepare for it. While if we talk about IELTS, normally the IELTS preparation courses are rather short and they focus on the strategies, and this is something I include into this. So with Cambridge exams, we focus on skills development and language development, which is necessary for them to be able to function in English. With IELTS preparation, we normally focus on strategies, which would help them to get a better result because they need the special band for whatever purpose there is to take IELTS. So if we talk about Cambridge exams, this is a task which could be found in the A2 key and B1 preliminary exam. And I know that I've been talking for far too long now, so could you please, just checking if you're still there, could you please have a look at this question and write the correct answer in the chat box? Can I give you a minute for that? Thank you, Alona, for the answer. All right. All right. And the correct answer is B. Pay less for something to read. Thank you very much for your answers. Yes, because now on first floor, sports clothes, no, not a dress for a party. Toys for 0 to 12. 12 is not teen. Teenagers are people who are 13 to 19 years old in English. This is what we call them. And half price books, yes. So the correct answer is B. Great job. So this is one of the exams. Let's think about this. What do your students need to know to be able to perform well, or to be able to do this task? So they need to understand the context and the situation from the signs, use the layout and visual features of the text to help them understand the context, identify the keywords like I did, so sports clothes, not address, right? Identify words with similar meaning, something, pay less, half price books. Okay. Again, those are valuable skills for them to exercise when practicing for an exam, and could also be very engaging for adults and kids as well. So to make it more interesting, to make your exam preparation more interesting, this is what you could do. So you could put each question, normally there are there are 5 of them, if I remember correctly. You can put each question with the text and the options on the walls in a room, if we talk about face-to-face classroom. And they can actually walk around in pairs and discuss which is the best option. And if they discuss, it's good to get them to do it in English as well. For that, you could also give them some useful language like I think, or what do you think, which also shows interaction and gives them some language practice. They can choose the correct answer and say why it is correct. They can write their answers on the piece of paper. And then when we check together, the teacher can look at the pieces of paper that the students wrote on and decide who is the winner. If we talk about children, yes, they do like competitions sometimes. Right, and there could be some small prize for that. All right, real life or not? Are we talking about theory here or real skills that those people can actually use in an English-speaking country? Well, I think this is quite real life because yes, you do see these, which do not come from an exam paper, as you travel to other countries, right? So, all right, here's the next paper. So that was a reading task. Here's an example of a writing task. I'll give you a moment to read the task now. All right, so here as you can see, the candidate would need to write a reply to their English teacher, reply to an email, not a message. So people still write emails. I know that we're using messengers, we're using all sorts of different software, but still we sometimes use emails, especially for work-related correspondence or when we study, when it's formal correspondence with teachers. So in here, they need to write an email and they need to answer some specific questions here. So in order to be able to do this task, students need to understand who they are writing to, which is important because that will help them to use the right register or style. So whether it's going to be formal, semi-formal, or an informal email. Make sure that the 4 prompts are answered. So that gets them to think about the content and what they need or would like to include. Well, in this case, they would need to include. In real life, this is what they would like to include in their answer or what is appropriate, what is expected of you. Organize their answers into paragraphs and within paragraphs use linking words to connect the sentences together and ideas together. Again, a practical skill if we want to communicate with people in writing and get the message across, right? And also proofread. That is a good practice, believe me. We do not want to make silly mistakes, and sometimes I see them in my PowerPoint presentations and I just feel very sorry. So it's good. It's a good idea to teach our students to proofread. Not an easy task, I'm not saying that, but it's could be quite demanding. All right, so here, this is an example of a listening task from which you can see in A2 key and B1 preliminary. those are different parts, but the task format is the same. And of course, the level of difficulty would not be the same. But the format of the task is the same. So could you please have, again, like 30 seconds to look at what is expected here? All right. So if you look at gap 15, what sort of information do you expect to find there? What do you think could be the word that goes into that blank? Uh-huh. All right. Okay, so that I think that TV is about 14. All right, and I asked about 15. I'm trying to confuse people deliberately, of course. Before presenting the news, Phil looks through today's what? Actually, yes, 14 it could be TV or on local radio as well. So why not? 15 could be tricky. Again, so because we have the answer to 14, so on local radio or TV. So here we can see from the context. So we're going to listen to Phil telling a group of students about his work as a TV news presenter. So we know that this is someone who works on TV now. So we can assume that he would give some information about his previous job, and probably it was not a farm. Well, let's hope so. So probably radio or TV. Okay, so this sort of information is important to predict and to anticipate. Events. Yes, thank you, Alona. So before presenting the news, Phil looks through the day's events. Good. Could be schedule, could be timetable, but events again, yes, of course, because probably he needs to choose which to decide on the order of coverage. Yes. So all right, in order to do this task, students need to identify what sort of information is needed, like we did just now. So it's good for them to expect and to anticipate the information that they will hear. They need to listen for specific information that could be some proper nouns, could be some numbers as well, could be days of the week at lower levels, but that sort of information is very specific, and normally there is 1 or 2 words that they will need to write there. Make sure the sentences are grammatically correct. So we're still trying to, check the grammar as well, which is still quite well. It does help with skills, especially at higher levels. And check when they listen the second time. Well, this is a good skill for the exam takers, not in real life, because normally you get to hear things twice. But the most important skill here is identifying and hearing, expecting, and identifying the information that you need. So in real life, when would you need that sort of skill? Airport announcements, weather forecasts, public offices, when you're waiting for some documents and for your name to be called out and to where to go, where to get the documents, who to contact, cafes and restaurants sometimes as well, especially when dealing with money, you need to know the price and the total of how much you need to pay now. So though listening for specific information is a very real life skill, and it doesn't mean that the person needs to understand the whole message. They need to understand the context, and they need to identify that piece of information that is very important to them right now. And for that, they do not need to understand every single word or everything that's being said. All right, so speaking tests, yeah, I'm allowed to talk only about younger learners exams, and here's an example. So, and this is how the exams are actually conducted. This is how the speaking part is done. Kids are invited into a room. There is a person, special person, who takes them to the room with the examiner and the exam materials. And the examiner will will introduce themselves and ask the child to do some simple things. So that requires listening and speaking. So they could be asked to identify some objects in the pictures, and you can see that the materials are very, actually, well, it could be scary, yes, but the examiners are trained to be very friendly, not scary. And the materials themselves are very could help the child feel less stressed too. So, and here's an example of one of the papers. So here, Robert's favorite restaurants and Sarah's favorite restaurants. So this is the information exchange activity. So the examiner will have some information, and some of the information will be there for the child, for the exam taker to learn, to look. And here they just need to look at the information that they have, and they need to ask questions about the information that the examiner has. For example, they have the information about Robert's favorite restaurant, and again, this could be context which is a child is familiar with normal name, restaurant or cafe. So the name of the restaurant and Sarah's favorite restaurant, they need to ask. So what would be the question there? What's the name of the restaurant? So children need to know those questions or need to be able to ask those questions. And at this stage, actually, it's not that important for them to ask absolutely perfect questions, but it's important for them to try and do enough for the listener to understand what sort of information they want or they need. And again, this could be a very a necessary skill for a child when interacting, not only, well, I do hope that when child goes to another country, they won't get lost there, but even to interact with other children as they're playing with them, you know, those kids clubs and the like. So there they would need to exchange some basic information. So what they need to be able to do here, identify the situational context, understand what information is missing, be able to ask questions, and forming questions, yes, but even not perfect questions are still a very good start. And question words for Alexis. So at this stage, I think it is clear that probably question words are a bit more important, like, but what's the name? So what and name when it is open? Well, so this gives us the chance to teach this and for the learners to practice using that. And isn't this what we teach in our lessons on a daily basis? All right, to prepare for information gap fills, like this one, the listening part, so they need to kind of do some practice. They could match questions with the answers, you know, they could also memorize the questions, you know, so that is the form of drilling. Matching questions with short answers is also good practice. Well, could be treasure hunt where they need to find the right question, you know, and this could be done in teams. So there are 10 questions which are hidden from them, and they need to find those 10 questions and match them to the right pieces of information. So this could be enjoyable and this could be fun for kids as well. Pelmanism is a memory game when the cards are put on the desk face down. So on the left, they have questions, on the right, they have answers. So they need to match, turn over the cards and match the question with the answer. If they don't match, they have to put them back. And the next person needs to try and still match the answer. So this could be fun as well. All right, so how do we integrate exam preparation into English lessons? So first of all, we can choose an exam preparation course book instead of the main course book that we use with our children at schools or language courses, whatever. Choose an exam preparation book with focus on exams, which actually here I mean not exam preparation. Choose a course book with some focus on exams, and I will show you an example of that. Sorry about that. So this is what I meant by typos. Have additional lessons with an exam course book. So some schools where they have English like 3 times a week, on Monday and Wednesday, they can have their regular course book. And on Friday, they could have this B1 preliminary classes where they focus more on the exam strategies and exam tasks. And integrating exam tasks into your lessons with your students is also a possible option, and I'll show you how in 2 minutes. To make it a bit kind of, well, to give you something to think about, so here are some titles. So these are the popular books, and this is for the B2 first. One is a Pearson book, the other one is a Cambridge University Press book. So they include grammar and lexis useful for the exam. They focus on exam preparation, but there is a lot of grammar and some very useful lexis there in addition to the tasks. So there is an explicit focus on exam preparation tasks. There are some practice tests there, suitable for a longer course for the whole year, and available for B2, C1, and C2 levels, only for higher levels at the moment, because A2 key and B1 preliminary were changed. The format of the exams was changed in January 2020. So there's still kind of, at the moment, there aren't that many books available, but still there are good options for us to explore. So the B2 course books that can be used, Prepare is one of them. So this is a course book that people use at schools, and it includes some preparation, exam preparation tasks. So if you look at the pages, that will be a regular course book, but there will be a section with an exam task, which is kind of connected to the topics and to the grammar studied during the lesson. It's more suitable for teenagers and integrate some exam preparation tasks into our normal curriculum. This is one of the options that is available for B1 preliminary preparation. It could be used as a supplement to the main course book. And this is exactly what I would use if I had these 2 lessons of regular English and 1 exam preparation day. Because it's shorter. There are only 8 units there, and it is possible to use it as a supplement to the main course and to do on a separate day with your students. Also, there are always trainers, and this is one of my favorites. So these books are available for A2 key, B1 preliminary, B2 first, for IELTS as well, by the way. So they include some practice tests, but most importantly, the first couple of tests, they are full tests, they have sections on exam strategies. So if you know that book, if you look at the book at the beginning of the year, you could see how some of the sections and topics could be integrated into your curriculum, and you could include like 30 minutes of exam practice into your regular lessons. I'm saying 30 minutes, not every lesson, of course, but so like every week or 2, you could use some of these tasks, and that could be a good supplement for a course. Here's an example. This comes from the Wiley exam. And this is one of the things that I love about it. And the kids, when they see this, they start drawing right away. So in this listening part, they're given colored pencils, and they need to listen to the instructions and color different objects in the picture with pencils. For example, they hear, can you see the red balloon on above the girl. Or, all right, so what about this balloon under the table? What color do you think we should make it? Let's make it yellow. So the kid would need to find the balloon under the table and color it. So this is a fantastic task and very interesting listening task, which could also help with the revision of simple objects that kids are familiar with and that can be found in any book, colors, and prepositions of place. See? And integrating a task like that, or knowing what tasks there are in the exam, they could actually be integrated into the course and used to supplement the book. So when at the end of the year, you could offer actually to the child with their parents, whether they want to take an exam to get the beautiful certificate with some monkeys and some animals and shields, and have their first Cambridge certificate to show that this is how much they know in English now. This could be a great thing to do, and it's up to them whether they want to take it or not, but the child will be familiar with the exam tasks and will not be afraid of them. So how do we motivate learners? I think I've already mentioned some, but here's some brief summary. So of course, we want to try and praise achievement. And I'll talk more about praising achievement. We can make tasks visual, kinesthetic, and enjoyable for them, because it's not only about sitting at their desks, writing and doing exercises from the books. In order to learn better, kids need to be stimulated in different ways. They need to see pictures, they need to be able to touch things, they need to walk around, they could have some sort of competitions to get them involved. The tasks and exams could be integrated into the learning process in a natural way as revision activity. So it doesn't have to be a scary exam. It could be one of the things that you could do well, right? And that could motivate them as well. Well, it's important to see it not as an exam, but as an accomplishment. Again, the exam will last, especially if we talk about younger learners. You know, those exams will last no more than 40 minutes, and that there will be breaks there. You know, so the parts are very, very short. They're not even 45 minutes long. Well, there isn't a part that for which the child has to be in the room for 45 minutes writing something. No, they're much kiddie friendly than that, friendlier. Yes, so, and this is something that happens to you. It's not that long, but at the end, you focus on the result and you focus on the certificate that you get and the accomplishment, which is important for the child, for their parents, and for their school and their teachers as well. Don't we feel proud when they get a good score for the exam? I think we do. All right, so you can set some of the exam preparation tasks as a competition when preparing for them. So yeah, that's a way to get them interested. And actually, you know what? Competitions and games work not only for kids, adults like them as well. And you could also have an award ceremony for the students, you know, after a competition, or when you get the certificates. You could also have a nice event where the parents can see their kids and their kids can see the certificates and everyone feels proud, which is very nice. Right, so, well, one of the things you could do is become a Cambridge Preparation Center, and you could actually do that with our center. So if you become our exam preparation center, that means that your students take exams at our center, and that could be a small number for starters, but we do hope that you will be able to get more students to take exams and to celebrate this achievement with us. So if you want to move in that direction, if you want to become a preparation center with the International Language Center, we do have a loyalty scheme and some system of different advantages that you can get when working with us. So that could include getting discounts when taking exams at our center for the teachers and for the students as well. So it could be cheaper for them. There are discounts that we offer for those teachers who take teacher training courses with us. And so also you can buy the course books at our center. So the titles you saw today, though, I just took pictures of some books that we have at our book center on the second floor, and just to share with you. There will be a link, so you will be able to see more information and where to find the official website as well. In addition to that, we do provide you with information support for teachers and schools preparing for exams throughout the year. So if you want to speak with our specialists, with our consultants, well, not consultants, more like teacher trainers and experienced teachers who are doing exam preparation, there is that option. Also, some centers, depending on the number of students, they can get a certificate actually from Cambridge University Press and Assessment that shows that they prepare for Cambridge exams. So this could be displayed at your school too. There are free pre-tests for students twice a year. We can organize that for you, and actually we can administer that for you. That means that we will order the pre-test from Cambridge. Those will be official materials from them that they're using to make sure that their exams are well prepared and actually assess what they should be assessing. So they send us some parts, and we could test some of those parts, not the whole exam, unfortunately, but some parts, and we can send them to Cambridge, and you would get the results from Cambridge as well. And also administering exams for your students at your premises anywhere in Ukraine. So if you want to take your students to our center, we'll be organizing sessions for you here in Kiev. But if you're located in a different city, we can travel to organize exams, to administer exams at basically any part of Ukraine, right? So this is the information about us as a center and how to kind of work with us. If you're interested in that, please get in touch. So there will be more information on that later. So do you have any questions? If you do, could you please write them in the chat box? Can't see many. All right, I'm still waiting for the questions. Here's the certificate of attendance. I'm going to copy and paste the link into the chat. If you follow the link, you can download the certificate and add your name to it. So this is only for those people who attend the webinars. And still waiting for your questions. So here are some useful links. So this is if you're interested in finding more information about the European Council of, European Council, CFR, Council of Europe scheme, you can use this link for Cambridge English, and more information about the exams and teacher training on the official website. You can follow this link. Also, there are some useful resources on that website. And as I was preparing my sessions, the tasks, exam tasks that you could see were actually taken from the official handbooks. And those handbooks can be downloaded there on that website, so from that website. So please, if you're interested in getting materials, you can either get them from our center, you can get some official materials, we'll help you find them, or you could even find some information on the official CambridgeEnglish.org website. And here are the ILC bookshop, some of the books that I showed you today, well, I found them there. And also this ILC exams. This is our website. where you can find more information about taking exams at our center. And I'm going to copy and paste this link into the chat box. So there you can register for exams, or you can get in touch with us and ask us more questions about being a partner and well, becoming a Cambridge English Preparation Center with us. Okay, so here this QR code will take you to our teacher training page. And well, as there are not many questions here, well, I'd like to say thank you for attending this webinar today. Thank you, Alona, for participation. I do hope that you'll be in touch with us. And seriously, if you have any questions about exam preparation, please get in touch. We'll be happy to help, because we do have an experienced team of teacher trainers and exam takers. And well, we've been doing this for quite a long time now, because we've been an exam center for more than 10 years. Yes, well, thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, please ask us. Right. Well, thank you so much for being with us on this Friday evening. Have a lovely weekend and, well, lovely holidays in a couple of weeks. Goodbye and thank you.